Say some things that might be usable for the intro. Let's do that.
Intro. Say the podcast name. Say our names. And then share what we think it is.
Welcome to It's Happening for You.
For you. This is It's Happening for You, the podcast with Robin Meharry.
Harry, I couldn't remember how to say it again.
And
Stephanie Lentini. We love you.
Love you. And then the music. The music begins. As you were talking, I pulled the card for today. Well, I'll just tell you because but like we'll read it all like later. But it's the ever unfolding rose.
What does it say under there?
The bottom says, cracked open. It's happening for you, not to you. I'm not fucking kidding. That's why I was like, it's literally, it says it's happening for you. I know.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So anyways, sorry, I couldn't even like resist looking at that and, and responding, but we can read the card more later. But I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah. I'd love to hear what the book's definition though is of like, it's happening for you, not to you.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. So fun. So fun. I love this so much.
I do too. I've been almost like a yoga instructor in the sessions this day. I'm like, okay, and now I'm coming into this present moment. I am releasing any tasks, any thoughts. I'm here and now. Everything can wait until later.
I love that.
Because I'm excited to like talk about a lot of things that's been bubbling since we just spoke on Sunday.
Great. Okay, let's do it.
Let's dive in.
Yeah, love it. Okay, so what has been going on for you? What are you feeling called to share at this moment?
I don't know. Right now I feel like, oh no, now Kat's got my tongue.
You're like, I have so much to say. I have nothing to say. But isn't that kind of funny coming into the now moment? Kind of just like cleared it.
It's just like, this is what I can start with is I've had so much energy flowing through me in the form of ideas and creativity since the last time we met on Sunday. And it's felt like a fire hose, sort of like this full on like and incredibly invigorating. Incredibly just like creative. So many ideas. I feel like really I've been feeling what it feels like to be like what Abraham says. What did they say? Like tapped into the energy that creates worlds.
The council says that too. Yeah.
Like I've been feeling like I'm creating worlds, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm waking up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and I'm like, it's time to create another world. Like a metaverse.
Yeah. I can contest that you have. Like every time we connect, you're like, well, I've graded this and I've done this. I'm like, I literally was this morning when you text me, the website's done. I was like, wait, when did you do it? Because we were texting right before I went to
Bed
sleep.
last night.
And now you're texting me at 7 a.m. I was like, when did you do it? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, from 4 to 7 a.m. No, also there's this piece about it. Well, okay, let me provide a little bit of context of what I mean.
Okay, cool.
Okay,
Yes,
so
go.
you and I met 3 days ago, and we
Wow, that feels like a long time ago.
It
does not
does.
feel like 3 days ago.
Yeah. We've been putting more intention. Gina called it intention because I was almost calling it like effort, like we're meeting more. And she was like, you're putting more intention into it. I was like, yeah, that's what we're doing. We've been putting more intention into releasing the podcast, like sharing it, offering it. Initially, the intention was like, let's meet and let's record it. And then when we met with Doree about a week ago, then it felt like there was a lot more of this sort of pointed focus of intention on bringing it out of, our sphere and into the sphere of others. And since Sunday, I've created 2 websites. I think we've made all of the social media profiles in the last week. Written really incredible copy with the support of my best friend and our personal assistant, ChatGPT.
Love it. Ascended intelligence, we like to say, instead of AI.
Yes. Instead of artificial, it's ascended intelligence.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. And so now it's Wednesday, and Doree has been steadily working on editing the different recordings that we've already created. And also all of these new pieces are falling into place, and falling into place quickly and easily and with like so much satisfaction.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me, I know that you've been taking a lot more of the what I call inspired action, right? It's not like efforting, it's not like a bunch of doing. It's all being done through your being. And it's just feels all really inspired and fun. And whenever I like check in on your energy or anything, it's not coming from a place of like should or need. It's like you just want, and you're having fun doing it, and you're feeling inspired to do so. So you've put a lot of this inspired action into it. And it's cool for me since, my energy is elsewhere right now. Like this morning I was journaling and I was like, oh my gosh, is this what it means by like instant manifestation? Like I'm sitting back and I'm just witnessing all of this happening. And I'm like, this is amazing. And I love our partnership because we don't take tally of like Steph did this and then Robin needs to do this. We just both work from a place of flow and energy, and whatever inspires us, do it for each of us without any pressure. And it's so nice that we have that understanding and that agreement.
Absolutely.
Because there's going to be moments that your energy will be elsewhere and then my energy will flow in, and it's just all so perfect, in this way. It really feels just beautiful. Actually, that reminds me, in my meditation this morning, I saw you and I as like this beautiful like weaving of like almost like a rope with like all the colors of the rainbow and more. And it was just so beautiful. It just I get emotional because it really still blows my mind how we came together and how incredible that is. And it's always goes back to that kind of like that whole concept of like when you're trying to force something. When I had the inspired idea to do a podcast last summer, I didn't know who you were at that point, right? You weren't in my awareness yet. And if I was like, oh, I told people I was going to do a podcast, so I have to move forward with recording, yada, 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 we wouldn't be, or I wouldn't be witnessing the magic that is occurring. I have goosebumps all over my body right now as I say it, even of partnering with you. And
Yeah.
it's like now being in this seat, I'm like, well, no wonder it wasn't supposed to happen anytime sooner. And that even goes for after we met when we were going to start recording in December or
Yep.
November. It was like, even this is perfect timing with everything that you have experienced with yourself and your business and growing into yourself.
Yeah, the timing couldn't be better for that.
Right? It might have been a different energy if we tried to force it in December for both of us,
Absolutely.
you know?
It would have been, and I am equally so appreciative of the fact that I've come to integrate that more fully into my life, that idea that like if it feels like hard work, don't do it.
Yeah.
Like action when it's inspired, when it like when it's what you want to do, it just feels so good. It feels so good. And I talk about this a lot with when I meet with like one-on-one clients, because I feel like there's this early, I'm not going to say early, it doesn't really matter at what point, but there's a particular point in almost everyone's journey as we're starting to like integrate this new belief that life can be easy and
Yeah.
struggle and hard work aren't required, and actually in like sitting back and allowing more and not taking like massive action to get things done.
Yeah.
We like things come to us, they come to us instead of
Yes.
us having to
Yes.
go chase them down. One of the points in the journey of applying that to your life, or you know, taking on that new belief as like a principle, is like people are like, but then will I never get anything done? I'll never do my dishes, I'll never do the laundry because I hate it. You know, they tend, I've done this too, so I'm not just saying like people
Totally.
outside of myself. There's this sort of like doubt that, you know, you'll just let things go by the wayside and you'll
Be
just
lazy.
lay around all day long.
Yeah. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But what I've been experiencing personally is that, you know, there's a really delicious balance of laying around and not laying around that we all desire. And I get bored of laying around, and then I want to do the dishes or I want to do something. And as I allow myself to relax and not go and take effortful action, and I focus on how I'm feeling, and I focus on my vibration, and I focus on lining up my energy, I do take action.
Yep.
I take lots of action. It's just like, it just feels so good. It's what I want to do with my time.
Yes.
And this
Yes.
week has been like, for me, an extreme example of that. Because I've been in like an absolute flow state where there's lots of movement. I'm doing I've accidentally screen recorded my computer twice, once for 3 hours and once for 6 hours. And I was watching the first one that I accidentally took yesterday when I made the website on MailChimp. And I'm just like, click, 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 click. And then I'm like, out of MailChimp, into Canva. I have an idea. I'm going to make this bigger. I'm going to make this smaller. I put it back here, and then, little adjustments. And it's like all of these little adjustments, which is such a great analogy for like fine tuning your vibration. I'm like feeling my way through all of these little motions, and I'm like, put that there. And then I'm like, it's sort of like you hang a picture on the wall.
Yeah.
And then you stand back and you go, and you feel how it feels, and then but the speed at which I've been doing that is so quick. It's like I've got all this oh my god, and anyway, all of that to say that like action isn't the enemy. Action is not an enemy. And also, if you do take action that isn't inspired, like there's nothing wrong with that either. Like, whatever. You know, sometimes it's literally your path of least resistance to just do your taxes or just
Yes.
do the dishes, because it actually, even though it might feel effortful, it feels better to do them than to leave them there. You know, that sort of thing. To get
Yep.
a job, if money feels like a stressor and you're just trying to allow in a big money dump and manifest it, but that's just feeling kind of icky. Sometimes the path of least resistance is just going and getting a job. I did that last winter and it was incredible for me.
Yeah.
It was
Yep.
such a great experience. So, you know, there's nothing against action, but it's just like letting yourself chill more, and also like soothing yourself and knowing like I can relax. I don't always have to be doing things. And as I tend to my vibration, I tend to my emotions, and I tend to my thoughts, like this will become easier and easier and easier. And more of my day will be, you know, a satisfying expression of source flowing through me as literally a vessel of like love. It's just,
Yes.
and
Yes.
creativity and energy and inspiration and excitement and joy and
Yep.
ease as
Yes.
well.
Oh, I think I hear the school bus.
The school bus is passing by. The squeaky brakes of the school bus.
I was going to say it must be 2:11. No, it's 2:33.
Everyone's come and gone. That was actually, it seemed like a very quiet transition.
Yeah. There's a couple things I want to just reflect on what you just said. One, you know, I love the accidental recording on the computer, which doesn't feel accidental at all. It feels like an amazing way to observe you being in the flow and what that looked like and how much you actually got done when you were just like inspired to do it when you wanted to do it.
Totally.
And I just love that. I think that's like so funny that you accidentally recorded that so you could see yourself click, click, click. Oh, open this, go there, do this. And it's like you were having so much fun and it was moving quickly through you because you were so in
Absolutely.
that state of inspiration, connected to source, you know, creating worlds, like you said. So I love that. The other bit about like, yeah, those action items that maybe we don't deem as enjoyable, like
Mhm.
taxes, like you said, or doing
Mhm.
dishes. You know, I always just think like what you focus on. This is a quote from the council, Sarah Landon, is like, you know, what you focus on, the meaning you give it creates your reality. So if
Mm.
you focus on the dishes and you hate doing dishes and you're focused on how awful it is to do dishes, well, that's going to be the vibration that you're in. And that's going to be creating your reality, this huge resistance, like you were talking
Mhm.
about, right?
Mhm.
And it's like, how can you shift your perspective on that task? And I actually experienced that fully with taxes this season. I
Really?
so much to do because
Tell
I
us
own
about
my
it.
own company, right? So it was,
Mhm.
this was my first year that I was fully doing all my tax write-offs and had to, you know, organize all my expenses, all my
Mhm.
income and all this stuff that is not something I've had to do in the past. And it's a pretty tedious exercise. You know, it's like I did my best to save all my receipts and had to go through all of my paperwork and get it all organized. And I was, you know, typically I do my taxes like first thing in January. You know, I'm like, let's get this done. But I was like, "No, you know, I'm not feeling inspired to do it. I'm not feeling inspired to do it.
Mhm.
Finally, I think it was like mid-March, I felt the energy come in to do it. So before I sat down, I really focused my intention. I was like, how do I want to feel about taxes? How do I want to feel about this task of doing
Mm-hmm.
this? And I was like, I
Mm-hmm.
want this to be fun. I want this to feel easy, effortless, and
Yeah.
enjoyable. And I'm going to tell you right now, like reflecting back on, I don't even remember even doing them. That's how easy and effortless it felt in
Yeah.
the moment of doing it. I put on my favorite, I think I listened to the council, even like while I was like, plugging in numbers, listening to music or whatever. And it literally, I remember being done and going, oh, I'm done. It wasn't so bad. But
Yeah.
this is after days of like inputting numbers and all this stuff. But it really gave me that example of like, what is the meaning I'm giving this task? And that is then going to create my reality around that task. And when I shifted that perspective and gave it a different meaning, I had a totally different experience in it.
That's huge. Like I was just gonna say, yeah, like I have probably thousands of examples of this too, but the one that comes to mind for me is when I got a job last year, but prior to me getting the job, I was like years of resistance built up of like I can't get a job and give away my freedom for minimum wage. And it was this whole story of whatever limitation, right? Lack and limitation. And uh at a certain point, I calibrated a few times on the topic of getting a job and like released resistance, calibrated with Gina to release some of the resistance around that. And it softened to the point that eventually in December, when I was low on funds last year, I was like, I'm going to get a job. And I was also really excited for the fact that because of like our societal expectations that this is a quick way to money, I was like, oh, I know money's going to be coming in so quickly because I'll get paid within 2 weeks. And how awesome that I have access to like this resource.
Yes.
So many jobs available that I could just, and then in 2 weeks, money's coming into my bank account. And it's funny because, as I was working that job, I would notice, think, oh, I don't, little like things come up. And then, yeah, like, how would I rather, what's the meaning I'm giving to this? And is that meaning feeling good or not? And if not, like, I'm going to choose something new. I just, that meaning feels like poo poo.
Mm-hmm. Well, I even want to point out to our listeners of if you pay attention to how Steph just talked about those different viewpoints. So at the beginning, she was saying like, I had this resistance against getting the job or whatnot. You can feel energetically lower. It's like a lower vibration. And then the second that she started talking about, oh my gosh, I'm going to have money in 2 weeks. And you could see her voice and everything, the energy and everything she was saying went higher.
Yeah.
And that's just like, that's it. It's that simple. And it was just a very easy switch that you made in that moment. And it's just, I love just pointing that out because you can hear it in people's voices when they talk about things and the vibration, how different it feels.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I actually have another example of like shifting that, and it's like more relevant to this current timeline, if you will, of like what just happened this week. And it's also about the house. Like I gave you an update about the house on Sunday, and I'm not going to repeat that whole thing. We're going to find a way to share that because it was really cool, the unfolding of it.
Love it. Yep.
But I might have mentioned this on Friday. I was driving home from going okay, I guess I'll provide like a little bit of context. I live in Las Vegas in the winter and I live in Colorado in the summer. Typically, my partner and I move based on his work, his seasonal work. And I've noticed back in February, I was like starting to feel trepidation about Colorado, just like dread or like, oh God, we gotta go to Colorado. And after, I don't know, a day or 2 or a week or something of that sort of feeling, I became aware of it. And so I asked myself, like, well, what am I wanting? What do I want going forward? And it was a lot of things, a slew of things, mostly emotional, but wanting to feel secure, wanting to feel stable, wanting to feel steady, wanting to feel still the freedom to make my schedule as I make my schedule, all sorts of things. And I started sort of dreaming within that of like what that looks like. And then just like letting it go and dreaming, oh, what if we got a place to stay in Colorado this summer? Oh, what if we got a place to stay in Vegas, like when we get back from Colorado and we sign a year lease? And then we just like have a house. What if we get a place before we go to Colorado and we sign a year lease and then we have a house that I can come back to whenever I want? So I started just sort of like playing with these dreams of like kind of the Abraham game of wouldn't it be nice? But I didn't stay there too long, and I really didn't make any hard work of like trying to make it happen or figuring out how it would happen. I was just like, that would be cool. Like that would be sick.
You're playing in the infinite possibilities.
Totally playing in the infinite possibilities, but also like is not trying to make anything of it.
No, not attached to it, just having fun.
Yeah. And so, I mean, lots of things happen, but we basically found a place that we could potentially be renting or moving into in Blue Diamond, which is a little town outside of Vegas. And the lady was like, well, I'd rather you move in sooner rather than later. And initially it felt like, ooh, but then I was like, that's what I was wanting.
That's what you were calling in. Yeah.
She's literally like delivering to me what I want on a silver platter. She also kept saying, I don't need the money. I don't need the money. And that's another one of the things that I was like thinking is like, wouldn't it be nice if like we rented from someone who wasn't doing it as like, a supplement to their income or to pay their mortgage? They were just like, it was just sort of because they wanted people around or whatever the case. And that she said that 1,000 times the first time we met her. I don't need the money, but still it was like my own process and work of like allowing myself to get on board with that. To even hear her say it, as like later on, I was like, oh my God, she said that so many times. Like just allow yourself to believe it.
Yeah.
At least for a moment, like just like feel into that, like as it feels comfortable every now and then, it's like I talk to myself so much in my head about this whole house, specifically the one here. But anyway, okay, so this is what I wanted to talk about is on Friday, I drove to the house and I took a bunch of measurements and kind of took notes about like what were some of the things that still needed to be done in this place, because it's a brand new garage apartment that has been like 95% finished. There's just some things that are incomplete. And so I was like taking notes, I was taking measurements of the windows, and my intention was like to just go in there and just sort of feel into the space and just dream of the space. And even afterwards, I went to TJ Maxx and I was like, I'm not going to look at price tags, even though the habitual me still did out of curiosity. But I was like, I'm just going to allow myself to like look at the things that are in here and be like, what would feel good in my space? Like what's my sort of vibe? It was so fun. I was touching all the rugs and like, just like dreaming without needing anything to be. As I was driving to TJ Maxx Home Goods, though, I was feeling super overwhelmed by all the things I wrote on the sheet. I was like, oh, there's so much to do before we can move in. And we're supposed to be moving in like 2 weeks. Like, how are we going to get all of this stuff done? Mm-hmm. Feels like now I'm going to have to turn it on and like actually put in some hard work.
Some efforting.
Yeah, I was like, if I want this to be done in the timeline that I'm anticipating, like, I'm going to have to, put on the turbo boosters. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wait a minute. It can be. I can tell myself that. and I can make myself do those things, but I also cannot.
Yeah. Yes.
I also could be like, no, I want this to be easy too. Like, it's already been easy. And so, like, I want it to continue that way.
Mm.
I'm
Yes.
gonna allow it to continue that way.
Mm.
I'm gonna go to Home Goods. And I'm gonna go window shopping.
I love it.
And I'm not going to do anything regarding that house unless I want to. The next morning, or it was 2 mornings later, Thomas and I had plans to go back there and like spend a whole day there, him working on the yard and me testing if the new like signal booster Wi-Fi thing was working by like hopping on my normal planned calls, but doing it there. And when I woke up that morning, I was like, that doesn't, like when I thought, do I want to go? I was like, and then when I thought, do I want to stay? It was like tons of relief. It was just like, just turned over to Thomas. I was like, hey, babe, I'm not going to go with you today. And he was like, sounds good. Like,
so awesome.
I mean, I didn't have split energy. I didn't feel guilty about it. That's been a journey in and of itself of releasing that with a partner, like, oh, am I like, I'm not putting in equal efforts. Is he going to be mad at me? That sort of thing.
Yep.
But also one of the cool things that like I'm coming to is like, I don't ask him to do anything he doesn't want to do. And he's come to not ask me to do that either. And also I've come to like shift the perspective even around like the work that he's doing, the effort that he's putting in, is it's actually what he wants to do too.
Yes.
Like he doesn't actually feel put out by it. He wanted to go dig trenches and figure out the sprinkler problem. Like he just like couldn't, there was nothing else he'd rather do on his, he all of a sudden had a day free and he was like, I'm going back tomorrow. You know what I mean? And I was like, get it, babe. You go for it. I'm staying here.
Yes.
And I'm going to do what I want to do. Here.
Yes.
And
yes.
I'm going to just keep allowing it to be easy.
Yep.
It's been just beautiful. It's just been beautiful. That's been beautiful. That day he came home from, he went to the nursery and he hired someone to help him for the day, which I feel like is just so fun and cool, and he was talking about, oh, like how much should I pay him? And I was like, doesn't it feel so good to like pay like a reasonable, like good wage? And especially for like the convenience of the fact that you're just going to where you need to go, the hardware store or the nursery, and there's people just waiting there like wanting to help you.
Yeah.
Like pay for the convenience of that alone. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Bonus. Here's a bonus for you.
Yeah. Love that.
But, so he had someone help him that day, got them lunch, dropped him off at his house at night. And as he's driving home, his friend is texting him from Colorado. And he's like, so dude, do you want to send me your dates or what? Are you and Steph going to stay in our tiny house? This dude has been like knocking on Thomas's door, breathing down his neck, trying to get confirmation from us that we also have a place to stay in Colorado in our own little tiny home.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like $750 a month.
Wow.
On the exact dates that we want. I mean, we get to set the dates.
Wow.
Our own space. It's 5 minutes from my brother's work. So I get to see my brother like all the time, which I'm just like, oh, I'm so excited about that. I just am continually blown away by like what's been unfolding.
Yeah.
And it's all what I want. You know what I mean? It's all the things like I've been asking for quite specifically, like quite literally specific.
Yes.
And I'm still really blown away at like how it comes and when it comes and who it comes through and that it's possible.
Yes.
Like I know it, I know
Yeah.
it, but I'm like experiencing it on a
You're
new
experiencing
level.
it. That's it. That's it. Exactly. Oh, this is
That
so
was a
good.
long, like, just
Oh.
flow of like what has been
Mm.
crazy. And I made a Facebook post about this like Monday because it was Monday morning. I sent Kyle and Emily an update, and I was like, that's my brother and his girlfriend. I was like, hey, happy Monday. I've got some news to share with you. We found a house in Vegas and Colorado, and it's like
Ugh.
right down the street from your house. And I'm super excited that I'm going to be coming to Colorado as well. And like, blah, blah, blah. And I sent them this update, and I felt so invigorated by sending it to them that I was like, I'm sending it to everyone on Facebook. And I rewrote it though. And it was like this whole thing of how amazing everything's been going. I was like, I have some updates for you about this previous post I made. If there's one thing I wanted you to know, it's this. And I said, but first, I want to tell you, Robin and I have been working on a podcast. It's going amazing. Also, I talked about something else I don't recall. And then I was like, okay, here are the housing updates that you all have been waiting for. And it was just like, and all of these people are commenting. They're just like, oh my God. I walked the dogs that morning and I was like, Mom, I have to read you my Facebook post. Like, I read the Facebook post like 6 times because like the energy of it was just so good.
Oh. Steph.
Anyway, sorry. Sorry, not sorry. I just
No, not sorry.
like,
Amazing. This is what this is all about. Literally, right? Like, this is what it's all about. That was so fun to hear all of that. Like, I've just been sitting here just smiling because I just feel like this energy of just joy. And I really love the part where you took yourself to Home Goods.
I knew you were going to say that.
Love that. I think
I
that's
just
so
knew that was coming.
fun. I mean, how fun is that? Like, you're just like, I'm going to go play in just dreaming my space and what it would feel like and touching things and looking at pretty things. And I just think that's so important. You know, like, I think that's such a fun piece of the story that immediately changes your vibration, right? And
Yeah.
it reminds me, like, okay, there's a couple things that were coming through when you were talking. And when I say it comes through, I guess that just means like intuitive hits I get.
Yeah, do you hear things or do you like see things when you say that? Or like,
I do.
or
I
all
have
of it?
both. Yeah, I have both. So I don't know. There's like 5 clairs, right? Clairvoyance. There's
clairaudient.
Yes.
Clairsentient.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't do sense. Sometimes I do actually. I could smell stuff sometimes, but it's mainly I'll get images and I'll hear words or whatnot. So in the very beginning of you talking, I saw allow. And it felt like then as the story progressed and you actually said allowing, once I allowed myself, allowed, that's what it was all about. Because you allowed that energy to flow. You didn't resist it in any way. And you then, experience miracles and magic from that place. And then when you were talking about the Home Goods and playing and all that stuff, I literally saw like a kid going into, I'm going to age myself right now, but Toys R Us.
Toys R Us. I used to love going to Toys R Us.
Same. What kid didn't? It was just so
like
fun.
Floor to 15-foot ceiling of every toy you could imagine, and like arts and crafts and everything. It's just so much fun.
Everything. So that's literally the image I got, was like a kid going to Toys R Us and just looking at all the toys and making, his or her list for Santa, type of thing. And there's such an innocence in that. So it just felt like this innocent play that you
Yeah.
did in that moment. And I think that's so important because we take things so seriously.
Yeah.
It's like we go from that serious kind of like vibration of the list, the physical things that you have to do to get all the things done in 2 weeks or whatnot. And we then forget to be in that innocence, in that childlike wonder and dream. And I
Yeah.
love that you then physically brought yourself into a space of that.
Yeah.
So,
I might have actually had like a similar vision. Home Goods was like the closest match to me at the moment, although I considered going to IKEA, which is right down the street from the Home Goods I went to, of like going to a Toys R Us for furniture. I was just like, and for furniture, that's sort of my style because Home Goods has like modern but like kind of boho furniture, which is my jam, like natural colors and textures and things of that nature. And when I was thinking like what I wanted to do next, it was like I want to go to like a big box store and just look at all the options, and like touch things and feel them and just like be with the energy of creation and dreaming and like you're saying, like just I guess just dreaming and possibility and childlikeness. And one of the things that initially felt overwhelming was some of the items that we need to acquire: a washer, dryer, a refrigerator, a bed, a couch, big things, you know what I mean? Those things. And that night, like laying in bed, Thomas rolls over to me and he goes, "Oh, by the way, Michelle said we could have one of the beds in this house. Michelle's our roommate. We live in her house with her. She's got a 3-bed, 2-bath, and I think once we move out, she won't have another roommate. Her and her partner are going to live together, whatever. And they want to turn one of the rooms into an office." He's like, "Yeah, she said we could have it."
People, wait, is this mic on? Is everyone listening to this? When you thought this story was done with all the magic and the miracles of things just flowing to Stephanie without her doing anything, then she's like, "Oh yeah, also we're getting a bed."
Well, that was a thing too, that I also want that to be easy. Like,
yes,
like when sometimes Thomas would be like, "Can you get on Facebook Marketplace and like reach out to people about refrigerators?" And I'm like, I'm pretty sure this morning or yesterday morning I said to him, "I will if it feels good." If I feel like it, I will, but like if I don't, I'm not gonna do it.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
He's just, I want to say that he's come to accept me, but it's truly that I've come to accept that as my process, that I don't have split energy on it, which is a really common Abraham term of like people reflect to you if you split energy is like, "I want this, but," or whatever. It's like this it's like a tug of war. I want to like cut that video out because it's just weird imagery. It's like a tug of war. I'm just kidding. Of like two ends you're pulling against. Both you want something, but you don't think you can have it. Yes. And this shows up in like a trillion ways in the way we relate to people. But people reflect our split energy back to us so clearly because it's like, if I was feeling guilty that I didn't want to do yard work or guilty that I didn't want to look on Facebook Marketplace or whatever, he would give me pushback.
Yes.
He has in the past. And I've calibrated my feelings of guilt many times. I think one of the more recent times I recall was just this winter. He wanted me to like do a bunch of errands for him one day, and I just felt so bad that I didn't want to do it. Yeah. And Gina was like, "Thomas is a powerful creator just like you. And sometimes you're the co-creator in him getting his desires met, and sometimes you're not. And the way
Yep.
you can tell, Stephanie, is by how you feel when the request is given to you. You know, if there's
Yep.
tremendous resistance to just like, oh, I do all, you know, there's thoughts, oh, I do so much for you. That's a different story. But just in general, if I recognize that I don't have like guidance to do some of the tasks that he's assigned to me or ask me to, it's like he can still have that.
Yep.
But it might not be me who's like delivering it to him,
Yes.
sending his shoes out or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know,
Yeah. Wow.
whatever
So
the case is.
true. So true. And it's so freeing when we can get to a place where we don't hold that guilt around it, and we stay in our power with it, right? And we don't give our power away to someone else. And that has been such a process for me. And of course, there's moments that that pops up again for me to kind of recalibrate and adjust, right?
Yeah.
Because I call myself a recovering people pleaser.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's like that was the name of the game in the past, was like, what do they need and want? So, and I then will go over and beyond to, make that happen, to make sure that then I'm receiving what I thought, I was receiving love from them. And it's so true. I love that you just brought this little bit up, because it is so true. When your energy is split, as you said, in a scenario, the other person will absolutely reflect that back to you. And 100% of the time, when I'm really confident and like I don't have anything weird in my energy field around it, I just know this is me, this is what I want, this is who I am, where I'm at, blah blah blah, fully in my power. The other person might be disappointed, but they're not coming at me in an attacking way. They actually really accept whatever I'm saying, because they can feel my energy around it and my power around it,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and it's such a different experience.
Yeah. And even if they do give you like a quote unquote negative reflection, it's like
It doesn't affect you.
You're unfazed. You're
Yes.
unfazed because you feel sure. I mean, if you imagine how you would feel coming up
Yep.
to an obstacle as you're feeling really sure-footed or confident, say you're like on a hiking trail and you come to a rock, but you feel really steady and sure and confident in your ability to just go over. Like, it's the same thing interpersonally. It's just like,
Yes.
oh, okay, that's your thing. It's one of the things I ponder a lot, not a lot, but like I ponder occasionally, because sometimes like people will be like, why did I attract this to me? Why are people, I thought I was really steady. Why did I attract this experience to me? And I'm like, I mean, you can clean up your vibration all day long, and we'll continue to, as long as we're physical. But like, there's still going to be wanted and unwanted experiences in the world. The contrast creates clarity for us of what we are wanting, but also our focus, our ability to focus, like, really will determine what we get more of. And I just, when people ask that question, I'm like, I feel like that's just like a flawed question.
Yeah.
Like, you're just being hard on yourself.
Yes, exactly.
You can't expect yourself to get to this point where no one ever cuts you off in traffic, or, whatever. You feel like you will get to a certain level of mastery where no bad thing will ever come into your experience. I don't see that as my goal anymore. I don't see that as you know what I'm saying? Like, what are your thoughts about
it? To me, it's all about your reaction. So those things will happen, can happen, whatnot. But how are you reacting to it in that moment? Are you staying in quote unquote higher vibration, a place of peace, or, even joy or happiness or love? And, I had two situations in the last 6 months with some dear friends of mine that have, have their experiences going on. They're on their journey and they're creating their reality. They're masters of their reality.
Mhm.
And they were quite hurt by what they perceived I was doing or not doing in our
Mhm.
friendship or our
Mhm.
relationship. And because I'm in a place of like really owning and like taking full responsibility of myself and knowing like I have no ill intent within my system
Mhm.
ever. And so I know that it's just all about like, where is my focus and where is my energy taking me? And sometimes that might take me away from a particular relationship.
Mhm.
And um, it's not about like
Mm.
making them right and me wrong or me right and them wrong. I had these conversations and was able to just hold space for both of our
Mhm.
realities and
Mhm.
have so much compassion and love
Mhm.
for what they were experiencing and
Mhm.
also not apologizing
Mhm.
for myself and the choices I made for myself
Mhm.
and staying in my power, not
Mhm.
giving it away. And I will tell you, those conversations that in the past have been really, really, really hard conversations for me to have
Mhm.
ended beautifully.
Mhm. Yeah, they're getting easier and easier. Yeah. Yeah, and I like we can tie that back into like the former people pleaser thing. Um this is a idea that Abraham brings forth is like that like stop calibrating to others and start calibrating to you and your inner being and to source,
Yeah.
that's the ultimate relationship, the relationship between you and you. And as like I've put that forward, I also used to calibrate to my dad, to my mom, to their opinions of me, to my partners big time. Oh my gosh. Like if they weren't happy with me, I just felt so unworthy and like, scum of the earth, piece
Yeah.
of total shit.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and just being so dependent on somebody's reflection back to me is like um it's not the way for me anymore. And I'm so grateful. I'm so, so,
Yeah.
so grateful. But it's,
Same.
we're just, we were trained,
Yep.
how to calibrate to the love of others, to
Yeah.
the validation from others.
As a survival mechanism within the
Yeah,
community, right? I mean,
yeah.
it completely makes sense. But how is that belief system serving you today? And
Yeah, well,
it's
I just
not.
completely replaced it. I've
Yeah.
replaced it with I take care of myself first and foremost. And as I do that, I have so much more to offer everyone.
Yes.
My relationship is like so improved with my dad because I just stopped making myself call him.
Yes. Oh my God. Exactly. Oh my gosh. That's exactly what I was just going to say is that because the thing that people forget too is we're all energy. And everybody, even if they're
Yeah.
not aware of it, they can feel energy. They can feel different
Oh, totally.
vibrations, right? So if you are going into a circumstance with a friend or a family member that you are going because you're like, I should be doing
I
this,
have to do this. I'm
I have
obligated
to,
to do this.
obligated, and you're internally holding maybe some resistance around it or even resentment for having to
Yeah.
do it, even when you don't want to do it. Even if you show up and you think you're putting on a smile and you are there, they can feel it. And
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you, they much rather you show up when you really want to be there because your energy
Mm-hmm.
will be so pure and it will be so delightful to be
Mm-hmm.
with you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they'll remember.
Mm-hmm.
They'll
Yeah,
remember
and
how they
even if
feel,
they
you know?
even if their words aren't saying that, like you can just know it. You can just know it for yourself. Like my dad and I had a vacation in Colorado together last summer, and at a certain point, I totally cracked. I lost my noggin, and I was like, you know what? I can say this is one of your last days here and you're only here for 3 of them. So I should go to putt putt with you guys. And instead I said, it's going to be best for the whatever time we have here and period, both of us, if I stay home and take a nap. And that's exactly what I did. And he knew I was like flustered. Everyone did. And they were probably glad I didn't go, because I was the one bringing the bad the bad vibes. You know, they're like, yeah, take a nap, Stephanie.
As long as you need
put
stuff.
your headphones in, and then later they're like, are you okay? Like, can we come around? No, I'm just kidding, but whatever. It really was a shift, and I think I started doing it big time when I joined Gina's program in 2021, and she just kept saying this over and over and over and over again, that I finally was like, fine, I'll try it. I'll stop making myself do things for people to get the feedback or the reflection back from them that I think that they'll give me if I do it. And I'll just start prioritizing whatever feels like it'll be the best thing for me and my energy in this moment. If that's like me leaving a party, or me opting out of an engagement, or opting out of a vacation or a phone call or whatever, for quite a bit of time. I don't want to say I was protecting my energy, but I was prioritizing it. It was like a phase of trying on some new clothes, and seeing that I actually really did. I liked them. I liked the new clothes. They fit well. They benefited me, to step into that new sort of practice of putting myself first.
Yeah. It's even right now, I think I've shared with you, I'm going through a period where I feel really tired. And, I think it's just a matter of recalibration. There's been a lot going on, a lot of movement in my life. And I've just, I'm have to every day go back and I'm just going to allow myself to be tired.
Yes,
and I'm
so glad you just said that.
I'm not going to tell myself I'm wrong for it. I'm going to allow myself to be tired. And with that being said, I'm not going to answer that phone call from a friend and be on a call for an hour. Right now, I just need to be doing what I need to be doing right now, whatever feels good to do, and rest.
Yeah.
And it's okay to do that. And I know this will pass. I know that energy will come back, and I'll feel energized to do more and connect with more people again. It's just not there right now. And, that kind of actually brings me, I'm not sure if you want to mention something else on that topic, but I wanted to kind of share with you, a little story of again, how everything's happening for us. So in regards to kind of the the tiredness I'm feeling, sleepiness, there's been so much rain in California, and my friend's place that she just bought, that where I'm staying, and I'm staying in the basement level, got flooded. And so there was a 2-week period where I couldn't be downstairs because they were removing mold and all this stuff. And so I was sleeping on an aero bed in the baby's room, not with the baby, but
Yeah.
And so just up in upheaval. And so then, finally the mold was removed. So I was able to go back into my bed downstairs, but there's boxes and everything around me and whatnot. And so I haven't really felt completely settled yet because of all this. Well, because the flood happened, my friends have decided to redo the other room, not my room that I was in, but the bigger room that's downstairs, which is where their office, they had 2 desks, and that's where they were working originally. And as we're dreaming up, okay, now things need to be removed and this needs to be done, what could this look like instead? And now we're going to make the bigger room my room, and we're moving my desk into that room. And I have my own entrance. No one will have to go through my, right now, people have to go through my room to get to the garage, which is where our gym is. now we can have
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
amazing. So like I have a contained space that will be all mine that has a bathroom connected to it.
Yeah.
And I have like a coffee machine, a little refrigerator, like I can wake up in the
You got a
morning.
suite.
I have a suite. I call it my primary suite
Oh,
downstairs.
yeah. Your primary suite.
And it's just one of those things like something of like, okay, this unwanted thing of like flooding, mold, oh, like it was
Baby
kind of this,
room.
yeah, it was just like, oh my gosh, like this is chaotic. Like, why is this happening? Why is this happening? And then it's like now, and it's amazing how they even found the workers to
Mm-hmm.
do the work so quickly. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole nother story, but it just lined up where it's going to be
Yeah.
happening so much faster than we thought. They're
Yes.
installing hardwood
They went to
floors.
Star Nursery probably.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
exactly. Something similar to that, honestly.
It's amazing. The
It's
convenience is
amazing.
like, oh, we didn't need to schedule this months out. Like you're
No.
just available and waiting. Oh.
Yes. Like they're like the work that we had going on this week, that owner is gone on vacation. So we can jump in and do it this week, and they're busting it out.
Hell
And
yeah.
so literally I'll be moved into the room next week.
Yes.
And it's even better than the situation I had. I was already
Yes.
really thankful for the space I had, but
That's
there was
great.
inconveniences, and now it's like,
Yes.
oh my gosh, this is amazing. And so
Yes.
that's like, wow, how that all happened for me. And I didn't even know it. I love the idea too that it wasn't even in my awareness as an option to happen,
No.
but I knew my desire
Yeah.
was to have my own space and feel settled. That's all I
Yeah.
knew. And I kept feeling into that. And then this magically has all come together to mirror that, reflect it
Yeah.
back to me, to make it into my reality. And so it's like so awesome that that's all happening. Everything that's happening with the podcast and the inspired action you're taking is just like beyond magical and just miraculous to me. And I'm sitting back and I'm seeing, this idea I had bubble up in the summer of last year coming into a reality.
Yes.
I was like, this is amazing. And then get this, I'm going to tell you, this is like a really random thing that happened today, but I'm like, what? So I have told you I've been on like the done pet sitting, and it was on trustedhousesitters.com.
Yes.
And so I sometimes have, since I've done a number of house sits at this point, I have reviews, and people will reach out to me and ask me if I want to come to their
Yes.
house sit or whatever. And my primary location I have set is England. So I've had people reach out and I've had to say no, blah, blah, blah. Today, somebody reached out who had already reached out to me a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the possibility of going to England in May. So she was like, oh, I remember you saying this. Here are some dates. Would you be able to do it? I said, I'm not going to England in May anymore, but August is a potential and a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
So she was like, great. There's, she just kind of gave a little bit more context of what their house. And she was like, we're both coaches. We work from home. There's a lovely back garden, yada, yada. I was like, oh. And she said something along the lines, I hope it can work out because it feels like it would be an energetic match. And I was like, she's using interesting terms. I was like, I'm vibing with what she's given me.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah, I was like, I feel you. And
It's
so
resonance.
there's resonance. So it's like, oh, your coaches, what of, blah, blah, and she gets back to me and she said, Course in Miracles she's a coach in, which I've, read years ago and was
Marianne Williamson, right?
And and Gabby Bernstein. She's like a newer kind of spin on it.
Translating the Course in Miracles.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I worked a lot with Gabby, more so than Marianne, but I've done like Gabby's master classes and done events with her and stuff. But she says that, and she says that her husband is a business coach or yada yada, a couple different things. And I'm like, that's awesome. And that they do retreats and all. I was like, this is so funny. This does feel like an energetic match. I'm, a intuitive energy coach, and I'm starting a podcast, and I would love to do retreats one day. So I would love to stay connected no matter what. And she says, "Oh yeah, my husband has published a few books with Hay House, and he used to go to the States a lot. And we know Marianne and Gabby and blah, blah, blah." And I'm not going to say his name, but
You're not going to tell us who it is?
I feel like I need to, I want to keep that private just in case. But she writes back and and I'm like, "Oh, if you feel," this is how I say it. I go, "If you feel inclined, or if it feels right to do so, please let me know what the book that your husband wrote. I would love to check it out." So she sends me back her husband's name. I'm like, "You're kidding." And I'm like, "I'm pretty sure I saw him on the Oprah Winfrey show back in like the 2000s. And I was just like, "Of course I know who your husband is." Like, what? This is wild.
All of our minds are racing. I'm like, is it Eckhart Tolle? Is it Katie and Gay Hendricks? I don't know any like English personal growth spiritual authors.
Somebody, I'm going to be honest, it wouldn't be somebody that would like jump out to me.
Okay.
But like the second I saw his name, I recognized, and I was like, "Oh yeah, of course."
Totally. So cool. Oh my gosh. Okay.
And it's just, so this is just a fun little example. Who knows if even this will go anywhere or whatever. But here I am. I'm sitting in LA. I'm just doing my thing, and someone reaches out to me.
Yeah.
I'm not seeking this. Someone reaches out to me and is like, "Hey, I have a place in London. We would love you to house sit for us. And also, we are coaches. Also, my husband has 10 books with Hay House." It's like, oh, that's a cool connection to have. I would love to sit down and have tea with them. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Oh, that is awesome. Awesome.
My next podcast is going to be called "It'll Come to You," the sequel to "It's Happening for You." Maybe these will be like books, but I have already made the album art and everything for "It'll Come to Us." And I feel like
you didn't. Did you really?
Oh yeah. It's a thing. It's a thing. Like Gina and I talked about making a podcast in December, and we were like shooting all these names back and forth at each other, and it was just like chewing on something that had no juice, And I was just standing in the Target line. I was like, whatever, we don't need to figure it out today. It'll come to us. And I was like, I immediately sent the message, and then I was like, put my phone away, thought about it. I was like, that's it. That's the name. It'll come to us. And this is exactly what you're talking about. Like,
yep.
I feel like the title of this podcast, this one in particular, is about action and vibration and how they play together.
Yep.
And when you focus more on tending to your vibration, the action that you take is inspired and just feels good, and things come to you. You tend to your vibrational field, and so things come to you, versus what we have, a lot of people have seen as the alternative and the primary way of getting things you want, which is taking the action journey, going out and cold calling people and going and getting if you want the apple, you got to climb the tree.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we're all just sitting under the tree, enjoying our book, and the apple comes right to us.
I love that. And it's what the council always says, that it's through the being all is done. So when Steph says our vibration, it's how are you being? Where are you in your being right now?
What are you thinking? What are you feeling?
How are you speaking?
Yeah.
All of that.
Like, what is the what is your essence made of? What is it? If you were to take an inventory of your personal field, this is kind of like a Wayne Dyer thing. He would say, like, you're like an orange, and if you squeeze it, like, what comes out is like what's inside of you. And that's like, what's inside of you, and there's a way to, like, you can choose. That's the thing that is really empowering, is like, it's a choice what's inside of you. But so, a lot of times it's like releasing some of the old juice, squeezing out the old juice, whatever,
Yep.
through whatever tools and practices you use to release negative thoughts, negative beliefs, etc., feelings of guilt or responsibility and obligation. And as you do that, like, and you just allow more and more and more of, like, what would be a delicious soil to plant seeds in, like, things just grow abundantly.
Yep.
And the
Exactly.
birds and the butterflies and the bees all come to your garden, and they just want to enjoy. The hummingbirds, they just want
Yes. That's
to
my
savor
side.
the.
Yes. I love hummingbirds. They're my favorite.
I started my first podcast by myself 2 years ago, and I called it Hummingbird Chats,
Oh, that's
savoring
right.
life's sweet morsels. And it was just me and other people talking about how fun life can be and is.
Love
So
that.
of course it's your, like, totem.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, speaking of totems, you want to pull a card?
Yes. Okay. So
You already did.
I already did.
I can't lie. Dawn already did.
Okay, and also
pull a second one too.
I will, but I always like pulling, and this is what I do for my client sessions. I pull the card before I even get on the phone with my client, because it's always so fun to see 100% of the time the card relates directly to what then was discussed in the session. So when I get on the call, I don't say what the card is right then, because the card is, the intention of me pulling the card is for what is going to come from this session. And so that's what I did in this regard. So that's why it's always fun to like read it at the end.
Yes.
Even though I pulled it in the beginning. So
yes.
It's the ever unfolding rose. Cracked open. It's happening for you, not to you. There it is.
Beautiful.
And even that imagery right there of the rose opening up, just even feels like it relates to what you were just speaking of. You know? Sitting out in the garden, the birds and the bees and the hummingbirds coming to you, and you're just this beautiful rose that is allowing yourself to open.
That's actually quite uncanny.
Really?
Or whatever the right word is. I mean, just the fact I was just talking about a garden and the birds and bees coming in, it's a rose.
Yes, exactly. Isn't that funny? And it's so funny because I also was thinking, oh, after we're done this one chunk, I want to read the card. And you beat me to it.
Yeah.
And that was before
I brought it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we're like reading each other's minds constantly.
Constantly. I have to say that happens all the time, where Steph will text me something and I'll be like, okay, you're reading my mind. I was just thinking that. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty awesome. Okay. So, this is from Rebecca Campbell. Again, this is Work Your Light Oracle card deck. One of my favorites.
Okay.
So the challenge of life is to keep your heart open when you most want to close it, to let life crack you open, to open through hurt and loss, to allow what is falling away to fall away. Being human is a courageous act. A life well lived is full of losses and tragedies, as much as triumphs and adventures. Wherever you find yourself at the moment, life is coaxing you to keep your heart open no matter how much it hurts, to continually unfold, to let life crack you open. Now is the time to go gently, to treat yourself like a tender, sweet baby, to wrap yourself in a blanket and trust that mother has you cradled in her arms. The seas may not all be smooth sailing, but you are safe, you are held. One day, not too far from today, you will look back at the transformation and be blown away by the poetry of life. Everything is going to be okay. Everything is happening for you.
Chills.
And I feel like even that last bit, one day, not too far from today, you'll look back at the transformation. That's even exactly, everything that we talked about today. But how I was even talking about this podcast and how it came together, and that it's the literally the magic and the poetry of it unfolding like a beautiful rose.
And in the perfect and right timing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Like, could not have dreamed of anything better. Would have never wanted to force or make it happen a moment sooner than right now.
That's one of the most beautiful things about surrendering to or trusting in the benevolence of the universe and like the well-being that abounds. Yes. Is that the things that do come are just way better than you could have ever imagined.
Yes.
Because the universe is like, sees all and everything and takes all of your desires and wishes and dreams into account, your resistance, and finds the path of least resistance to deliver things to you, in just the most delicious of ways. If we were to like script every moment of our lives going ahead, it wouldn't be as fun.
Well, it's simply our mind is what we can imagine with our mind is limited. The universe is infinite.
It's unlimited.
So make sure you don't limit yourself by only what you can see and think or come up with on your own.
Yeah, depending on your mind.
Yeah.
The logic of it all, and
allow
it's anything but logical.
Yes, allow the magic and the miracles to come. Like you were talking about how you manifested, or whatever word you want to use, this house in Vegas.
And the bed.
And the bed.
And the house in Colorado.
And the house in Colorado. Yeah. Not something that your logical mind could have figured out.
Yeah, and I'm excited. I added to my list late last night / early this morning tickets to Electric Daisy Carnival, EDM festival here in Vegas. Because Gina, I had the idea all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I'm going to still be here in May. And Gina and I had talked about going to it together like a month ago. It didn't seem possible. And so I texted her at like 8 p.m. and I was like, I'm going to be here. And she already bought her ticket. She's like, can I stay with you? She's got her 3-day GA pass, and I just haven't felt like fully inspired to purchase mine yet. I'm like, I don't know why. Part of me is like, oh, I'm judging myself, or like, I don't want to spend that much money. But I'm also sort of like, that's just so predictable. Yeah, I could just go on StubHub and purchase that ticket for $600, but also I could have the desire, release the desire, and let the universe freaking just amaze me.
Yes.
Which is what I'm doing.
Yes, because it's that simple. Like what Steph just said is that she doesn't find it choiceless to push purchase on that ticket right now.
No, I tried like 4 times, and I was like chewing on it all day, and I'm like all out of sorts, a little bit of doubt whether I should do it or can't. And I'm like, oh, let it go. Stop thinking about it. When I stop thinking about it, that's when it'll come in. I know for sure.
Yes, for sure.
Just let it go.
It may happen, may not. Who knows? But in this moment, you know that it's not choiceless to purchase that ticket. Period.
Exactly.
That's all you need to know in this moment. And then tomorrow there might be a new inspiration, new miracle magic that comes in. like you said, that you can't even imagine in this moment.
Yeah, even my mind wants to try to pick up, and imagine, oh,
Yeah.
maybe like someone will give it to me for free, or maybe like Gina will buy it for me, or maybe this, or maybe that, and it's like, let it go.
Yeah. But even I just want to say, like, if you're imagining that and you're feeling the fun vibration of imagining that, that's
Yes,
okay to do. If
absolutely.
it's just don't get attached to that being the only way for it to come through.
Yeah,
That's the key.
there's a big difference between like me just like walking around in the home goods and like just going, ooh, that's pretty, and ooh, that's pretty. And but when I was thinking about the how will these tickets come to me in whatever that didn't feel the same way. The energy of it felt more like I need this thing and I want this thing, and how am I going to get this thing without it
Yes.
being in that particular way? So the energy was like a little bit more resistant. So that's when I know to let it go.
Yeah.
It's my awareness of that it doesn't feel super yummy to ponder it, that I let it go. And actually what I've been pondering instead of the tickets themselves is dancing.
Mm.
Outfits. I've been like, oh my God.
Yes.
I was
So
thinking about
fun.
like these little skimpy, like, bra tops, and I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna like bust it out. The bra tops, because it's like hot and it's Vegas, and everyone dresses like that. And I'm like, ooh, that sounds like fun. And I've been thinking about like bass, like like going right up to the speaker, and like feeling like the vibration on my skin and those sorts of things. That feels like fun,
Yes.
and it's like EDC or something else, doesn't matter. I don't, not attached to it being coming through in this way. I get to feel the fun of it just by pondering it. And like that is another way in which you like tend the vibrational field and attract things to you, is just like feeling it now, just, oh, what am I wanting?
Yes.
I want to go to EDC and I want to fucking dance, and I want to just
Yeah.
like boom, 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 with my friend.
My best friend.
She's already bought her plane ticket. She said she'll sleep on my floor.
I love it. I love, like, I'm so glad that we're bringing like all these experiences and examples up of like
Yes.
how are you moving through this, and it's
That's
your
important.
level. It's important.
I don't want to just say, oh, look at me and look what I'm doing. I think it's so valuable to be like, this is how I, like, not like this is how I did it, you do it too, because it's not
No.
necessarily like a step-by-step process, but like the demonstration of how I'm just like constantly aware of like what I'm thinking and
That's
feeling,
it.
and where my attention is, and just sort of like I've been using this word massaging. Where am I in relation to like my belief that I can have this thing, and like massaging that, allowing that to just like I don't know, I feel like dancing now, so I got to go to
I
the
know.
gym or something after this.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, that exactly is what was coming through when you were speaking. It's all about awareness. So you're providing, I know, again, that's how I saw it, right? It's like awareness, big block letters that came through. Like a rainbow, it's
Yeah.
like awareness. The reading rainbow, do you remember that?
I actually created a social share image, the image that like when you send the link to our website, it's the two new pictures that I've chosen with the gradient background, and then it says it's happening for us like a rainbow over our heads.
Oh,
because it fits so
that's
much
fun.
better.
Love.
So
Love
anyway,
that.
go
That's
on
so
what you're
funny.
saying, but it's just like reminding me of that.
I love it. I love it. But yeah,
Awareness.
it's awareness. There's multiple ways to get there. There's no one step process, but it's all about awareness. It's
Mhm.
you are aware of how you are feeling in every bit of that scenario.
Mhm.
Just like you said,
Mhm.
like when you're feeling into imagining how to get the tickets, that didn't feel really great.
No.
But imagining the outfits, the music, that felt great. And it's
Mhm.
so funny because, of course, I just had that same experience.
Mhm.
Like
Of
I
course.
didn't even realize it until you were speaking. I was like, oh my gosh, I did the same thing. where I'm, have this opportunity to go to Tuscany in August.
Yes.
And it is one of those, it doesn't feel choiceless to buy the ticket yet to go there, yada, yada, yada. But instead of me focusing on like the how, because that didn't feel yummy, that didn't feel great to do, I went on to, like Rent the Runway or like Nuuly, and I started picking out all the outfits I would want to wear in Tuscany. And I have this whole closet on Nuuly. I spent hours, like 150 items, and it was so fun. I was like, oh, that dress would be so fun. It's going to be hot. Oh, that's a fun outfit. And that's all I have done so far.
That's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to go pull my lingerie out of the drawer. Dust it off.
Dust it off. I love it. I love it.
Oh my gosh.
So
what a
good.
great conversation.
I mean, amazing conversation. This is, again, just so fun. Love doing this with you every week.
Same.
Nothing else I would rather do. What's that?
It's the garage door opening beneath my feet.
I was like, that's a really loud rumbling. What could it possibly be?
It's going to close now, so.
Oh, okay.
So we're finished.
Yeah, we're finished.
Great episode.
Yeah, amazing. Loved it.
Yes, 10 out of 10. 10, 10.
10, 10. Thanks for listening. You can visit us at www.itshappeningforyou.com for more information about upcoming episodes and previous episodes, and just learn more about us. Here we go.
And a 3, and a 2, and a 1, and a welcome to right?
It's
But
happening.
let's start from the beginning.
It's Happening For You podcast with Robin Meharry
And Stephanie Lentini, the podcast about mastering the creation process and living a life of extraordinary possibilities.
Join us as we just talk every week and chat and share.
Have way too much fun. We love you.
We love you.
Thank you for being here with us.
And the beat drops.
And the beat drops.